Okay, everybody. So, as you know, America's future is to be decided next week when the people of the United States have a simple choice to make. And the choice, I believe, is going to be fundamental to the survival of the Republic. Now, superficially, you might say, well, look, it's just a simple choice between two guys, two 70-year-old guys. One is 74, that's President Trump, the incumbent, and the other is the challenger, 78-year-old Joe Biden. But it's much more than that, I believe. I think that's way too simplistic. For me, the choice is between hope and despair, between optimism and fear, because that's what these two candidates represent. You've seen the huge enthusiasm for President Trump. You've seen the rallies. You've seen the polls, though, and the polls suggest, just like they did in 2016, that the Democrats will win, and that Joe Biden, a man who seems virtually unable to utter one coherent sentence, is going to become the next president of the United States. Now, as I say, we've heard this before, so we don't necessarily believe it. One of the things I think that has changed everything, though, in the States has been the China virus, the coronavirus. Now, you will recall that the United States economy at the start of this year was absolutely steamrolling everywhere else in the world and performing massively well. As President Trump has put it, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world, and now we are going to do it again. And of course, whenever you hear the Democrats, all they talk about is the economy in 2020. That's the economy in the COVID year. But let's talk about the economy in 2020, because the economies all around the world have been hit massively. Every economy has suffered, apart from one, the China economy. But when you look at the G7 group of countries, let's look to see what the performance of these economies is in the COVID year. Oh gosh, you can see from the G7 that the United States is the best performing economy, relatively speaking, in 2020. So you can see the UK and Italy and France languishing, even the Eurozone. The US performance is essentially twice as good as that. So when you look at major economies in the sort of the G7 world, President Trump is yet again doing exactly what I just showed you. He is rebuilding the US economy in ways that seem almost unbelievable. Question you got to ask yourself is, what would happen if Joe Biden got in next Tuesday or Wednesday? Well, Biden says he would shut down the US economy to stop coronavirus if scientists recommended it. Well, I think there's little doubt, folks, that scientists most definitely will recommend it, just as we've seen them recommending it here in the UK, in France, in Germany, and so on and so forth. The instinct to shut down the economies is the one which President Trump has stood firmly against. That's why the US is outperforming these other G7 countries. The US economy is beginning to take off at a time when we're looking to bury ours. But Biden's also called, for example, for a 3-month national mask mandate. As he calls it, in Orwellian terms, be a patriot and cover your face. But maybe Biden needs to cover his face, because we're all aware, or at least those of us who follow the right channels, of the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. And the media and big tech have all conspired to suppress this to ensure that it's not talked about, so that voters will cast their votes unaware of some of the very profound questions concerning the character of Joe Biden that the laptop has unmasked. Consider, for example, this email. This appears to be validated. And as you can see, it is to Hunter Biden. And it specifically says, thank you for inviting me to DC and given an opportunity to meet your father. Now, this is Joe Biden. It's clear, it's black and white. Joe Biden denies that he's ever met any of his son's business acquaintances. Clearly contradicted. And as you can see, this is just one of the many profound issues which we see in the Hunter Biden email trail, which has now become a matter of public record, but which is being suppressed. So we have a candidate in the shape of Joe Biden who appears to have spent time feathering his own nest, building his own financial fortune, and using contacts in Ukraine, in Russia, in China. And that really, you know, is where this one all leads, because should Biden get in, so does China. So the choice next week, it's not between Trump and Biden. It's between the United States and the People's Republic of China, the Communist Chinese Party. Because be under no illusion, they're backing Biden. He is their man. And if he gets into the White House next week, the media will be jubilant. We will be told this is a return to normality, but it won't be. It will be a victory of China over the United States. It will be a victory for globalism over nationalism. It will see patriotism buried in the grave. And that's why I urge everyone that follows me and listens to me in the United States to make sure that they cast their vote for Donald Trump, and that what we see next week will be a famous victory, another opportunity to once again dumbfound the fake news media, to dumbfound the tyranny of Twitter, of Facebook, and indeed of YouTube, who have suppressed so much truth in order to get Crooked Joe into the White House. So let's hope, folks, next week we see Donald Trump back in the White House for another 4 years.